Franklin, in the chapter of reaction in the book of the responsible individual, one of the concepts is the concept of the victim. And I'm curious about, what that means, in your view. In the book it says that this is a role in which we will not accept any kind of responsibility. We often complain and feel unfairly treated, cheated or used, either by others or life in general. We live out the locked emotions by directing them against what we are challenged by. It is a very reactive role, one of judgment. What is your angle on this role?
I think the role of the victim is a very, very active role. You have to have a high energy, and usually that energy is directed to someone else. I know that in order for me, and that's the way I was in the past, there was a lot of things happening in my life, and especially revolving around the issue of my dad. So I directed everything out there towards him and saying, you are this, you are not that, you are this. But I forgot that I was the son. I should have played my role instead of feeling like a victim and directed that way towards my dad, and rather take it back and direct it to me. True, honestly, it is one role of judgment. One intends to judge. Like I said, I used to say everyone has a certain type, a certain character, and I used to think my family left me, and I judged them for leaving as I thought they were leaving, but I was the one withdrawing. I felt that they were leaving me, and that's such a, it's very judgmental. It's very judgmental to walk down that road and you forget to direct all of that energy towards yourself and say that, listen, I'm walking away. I'm distancing myself from my family. I'm walking away from my family. And I never used to take responsibility. I always used to blame it on others.
I can relate. When you talk about the victim, I think it's also a very strong role that I had to feel into, because I also felt unfairly treated growing up. And this was the story I lived by. And it's been really important for me to meet that little girl in me who felt like the victim, and to listen to her story, and to give her some new knowledge. And also for, to thank her for having the experience. Because I know she didn't have easy experiences. I'm sure your little Franklin also didn't have easy experiences.
Yes.
And we also have to remember that when we are little people, the world is so much bigger, situations are so much bigger, and it's much easier, I feel, to get lost. And then to go back and hold her by the hand has been very important. And to view my parents in a new light has been liberating for me. And also to understand that they did what they knew. And to also find gratitude. There are many aspects that I wasn't able to visit or see because I was locked in this aspect of feeling like a victim.
And I could never say sorry or come to the conclusion where I had my dad in a different light, in a different view. I saw him in a different way, and I could never rewrite the story of the victim. I was always the victim. I was always the victim in that story, and it changed when I realized that I am not the victim, and that's when I then finally had the courage then to view my dad in a different light, to saw him different. And instead of directing all of that energy of being victimized towards him, I could understand it, what was my role. Because in my story, my whole timeline was being victimized. My dad didn't do enough. My dad could have done better. My dad could have sent me there. My dad could have bought me this. So it was all about, and I forgot that this is my story. And for me to be liberated from the story, I have had to understand that the victim has had to become a driver, one that take the story and go and make peace with the fact that how he blamed people, how he have judged people is not how it was. And it really wasn't like that, because after a while, when I spoke to my dad, I spoke to my mom, I realized that things weren't the way that I perceived it was, and that even liberated me more and made me even more spoke to the victim and kind of like change that behavior.
Yeah, it's good to be curious about their stories too. It adds more meaning. And suddenly we're not stuck in like a tiny slice, but it's almost like one pixel of a bigger picture. That's why it's so important to visit it, right? And see new ways, new angles in it, and see the bigger picture and bring that to that space, offer it healing and some newness. And that's also, you're speaking about writing a new story. And I remember when you started TRI back in 2009, and you're looking at the manual and you're looking at all these empty pages and lines in the book, and like, no, seriously, this is it. But it's because it's waiting for you to author the new stories. To look at the old stories, so to write some of the old stories, but also to author some new chapters in your story. To allow something new to come alive. Which, we speak about, it liberates us, and it also brings us closer to why we're here and why these stories were important. Because I use the story of a victim a lot, in what I do today in my coaching sessions. And you having also had experiences with the victim gives meaning to my story, because we can meet in a shared space. We can relate to each other, even if the stories are different, but there's still something we share. And that's meaningful as well. So when my victim comes and she knocks on my door once in a while, I also let her know that she's really valuable. And she forms an important puzzle piece in my purpose. And that's profound.